Hey everybody, Captain Tim here once again, coming at you live for the Star Trek movie reviews. This review will be for First Contact. So, like, I wore the original series shirt for the last movie because I had Kirk in it. I wore this one for The Next Generation. Coincidentally enough, like I said in the last video, if you guys watched it this morning, like, I hate the gray uniforms that they wear in this one. This is probably my favorite type of uniform. I really enjoy this one. Miguel's watching. What's up, Miguel? So, I love this movie. I think this is a great movie. I didn't really like it as a kid that much, but as an adult, I have a much more appreciation for this movie. Also, I'm kind of doing this movie again more during the daytime, so I'm really tired because, like, 6 hours ago, you guys were all over the place, and it was a great interaction. I kind of just wanted to do both these back to back, but I need a little bit of a break. So, the only problem that I actually have with this movie is that Guinan's not in it. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball a little bit because Guinan has always been so important with the Borg storylines that it would have been a great way to kind of have her in this somehow. I don't know, like as a cameo or a main character. I know she had a big part in Genesis, or Generations, I don't know where that came from. She had a big part in Generations, but I think they could have easily have carried her over into this movie, at least for something. It's interesting to note that Jonathan Frakes directed this movie. I've already said he's like one of my favorite directors. And just, I don't know, it's something about the way he lights his sets or something, but he's such a good director. And it's interesting because now he is the first cast member of The Next Generation to direct a movie. And it's kind of funny. I'll mention it in the next video as well. But like Spock is the commander and directed 2 movies back to back. And now we have Riker as a commander and he directs 2 movies back to back. So I think that's kind of fun. So the movie starts with the opening dream sequence, and to this day, I have trouble with that, like, whole scene. Like, it's a beautiful scene, and I like how it ties together with Best of Both Worlds and Locutus. So, like, I could watch horror movies all day long. It's like gore porn, like Saw, stuff like that. None of that bothers me at all, whatsoever. Anything that has to do with eyes, I freak out. Like, I'm supposed to actually wear glasses, but I can't wear glasses because they're too close to my eyes. And I can't do contacts. Like, that's completely out of the question. Like, anything to do with eyes freaks me out. I can't do it. And so I'm sure most, God, just talking about it is literally making my eyes water. Like, it's too much. So the opening scene where you see the needle, like, poke his eye, like, I just got shivers. Like, I can't do it. It's awful. But otherwise, it's a great scene, and I like how they tie in to the Best of Both Worlds to let you know. It's almost like the teaser, like they do before the opening credits. Like, this will be important, and you should know this. We then see the new gray uniforms, which I absolutely like. I think they look nice, and they're definitely like high quality, but I just don't like them. Like, I think it's just too plain. I like the bold colors, like the red, and even the shoulders for like Deep Space Nine or Voyager are still too. They're like, I like those, but they're a little too plain. Like, I like big, bold colors, which like the original series, where it's the entire shirt. And by the way, it is really hot here, so I'm kind of like dying in this shirt. So we see the Defiant in this movie, which is from Deep Space Nine, which is where, obviously, because Worf's on there and they had to figure out how to get Michael Dorn into the movie, so it just kind of made sense. Supposedly there was a deleted scene that Avery Brooks, the actor that plays Cisco, actually filmed and tells Worf to join the battle, which I think that would have been great. I don't know what's with them cutting out Deep Space Nine references, but I talk about that in the Insurrection video as well. And it's kind of interesting. So this movie came out, like, I think right around season 5, episode 9 of Deep Space Nine. And then, like, the next episode, episode 10 of that season, is when they switch to the gray uniforms. So I like how they do keep that continuity going on. The Enterprise D exploded. It was done in the last movie, Generations, which I forgot to talk about that. So I was clearly not alive when the original series was out, or the movies. And I kind of wish, like, if I could go back in time to go to, like, a full theater and see, like, the Wrath of Khan when the Enterprise is destroyed, just to see what that would have been like, to see if, like, the whole crowd, like, gasped or something. And kind of the same thing for Generations. I meant to bring that up in that movie, but I kind of forgot because I have 2 pages of notes. Like, so I was alive. I don't want to. I'm just here. Oh, thank you. I was alive when Generations came out, but I was not old enough to really go to the theater or really comprehend something that complex. But especially after The Next Generation had been on for 7 years, some of the older members, if you guys remember, being in a theater and seeing the Enterprise D destroyed, like, was there a sense of awe? Like, were you just taken aback and like, did that just fucking happen? Or was it just like, oh, that's kind of a cool action scene, moving on? It is so bright. Like, I'm trying to like avoid all of these spotlights in my house right now. You can see the sun just shining behind me. That's why I'm sweating. That being said, the Enterprise E is my favorite starship. Out of the Enterprise line, the Enterprise E is my favorite. Probably because it's just slick as hell. Like, it's beautiful. It's kind of like the original Enterprise meets Voyager, just like the way it's shaped. I don't know. I love it. I think it's great. We see Geordi, no visor. Okay, so we see Geordi with no visor. Jordan, that's a bright sun. Jordan says, what is your favorite Star Trek series? So I grew up mostly with Voyager, so I really, like, Voyager holds a special place in my heart, and I like their storyline the most. I forgot, I already said this in one of the videos, but it doesn't matter, I'll say it again. So I like their storyline the most, to be honest with you. It's probably Voyager. But The Next Generation has the best cast, and that cast has the best chemistry together. Like, not to say Deep Space Nine and Voyager and all the others don't have it, but there's something about, like, Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner and Jonathan Frakes and everybody. They just, like, they got lightning in a bottle, and they really clicked together. So, like, if I could take the Next Generation cast and put them in the Voyager show, that would be my ultimate series. So, to answer Jordan's question. Geordi does not have a visor in this movie. This is where he goes to, like, the cochlear implants or whatever you want to call it, which was kind of foretold in All Good Things, where we see him in the future. They didn't really give a date, but evidently it was between Generations and First Contact. And now Dr. Crusher is a blonde, which I absolutely hate. Like, I liked her more as the long red-haired, so... And I guess it's kind of a strawberry blonde, but yeah, I wasn't really digging it. The sun is killing me right now. So this movie has a lot of good liners. Like, that's probably why Generations is my favorite movie, is because of just Data's one-liners, and especially seeing it as a kid. Like, it just kind of stuck with me. Kind of like this. It's the same way. Okay. Like when they tell Picard, we don't want you to interact with the assault from the Borg because they don't really trust Picard. What is it? It's like reading your guys' comments and my notes at the same time. I'm just overwhelmed. And the sun. Too much going on. Data has the line, like, to hell with our orders. And it's very reminiscent of Spock from, what is it, the Undiscovered Country? Like, one of the last lines where he's like, to hell with our orders. So I really like that. Anytime Data has a funny line, it's really enjoyable. Except for Insurrection, where he's like, lock and load. That was dumb. I didn't like that. So we see Worf on board the Defiant, where has the cliche Klingon line, perhaps today is a good day to die. But it's just awesome to see Worf again. They introduced Lieutenant Hawk, which, so as a young man, especially like in like high school and such, like I got super obsessed with this movie because I found out supposedly Lieutenant Hawk was supposed to be gay, and they got rid of all of his scenes, and I was like, is that true? And like, I guess there's a Section 31 Rogue book where it talks about Lieutenant Hawk and his husband or boyfriend or something. I bought it, but I never actually read it. But it's just kind of interesting that they had planned that, but they didn't actually do it. So, which I was supposedly Geordi, originally from Encounter at Farpoint, Geordi was supposed to be gay, but that got vetoed really early on. So, like, as much as I love Star Trek, like, dealing with homosexuality has never been their strong suit. Conrad says, greetings from Alaska. What's up? So, Alaska's like one of the 4 states I've never been to, so that's kind of cool. And I'm glad, like, I like it when you guys say greetings from, because, like, sometimes I got one person who pops up that says greetings from Brazil, and I know I have a lot of people over in, like, England, and so it's kind of fun to see where you guys are, where I have people watching. I like I like the comedy lines, where he's like, tough little ship. Love the Harley Quinn and Joker pics behind you. Oh, thank you. Like, most of those are Comic-Con stuff. So I thought, first it said, I love the Harley Quinn, and that's my cat's name. And I was like, where is she? She's outside. So I like where Riker says to Worf, like, tough little ship. And he's like, little. Hi from Albuquerque. Like, New Mexico? I've been there. I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. So Picard uses his Borg ship knowledge. You guys are like purposely distracting me. It's great, but it's kind of distracting. I also always wondered why TNG is the only series that didn't have a regular pilot. Pilot as in like somebody at the con? Because I feel like that's Data. So I'm not sure what Kyle means. I guess they kind of switch back and forth, but I'm pretty sure it's Data, isn't it? So Picard uses his knowledge to basically attack the Borg cube, and like it's kind of a fun scene where he like uses his little mental thing and they destroy it, but as they destroy it, a sphere comes out of it. This is the first time we've ever seen a Borg sphere. And it goes to Earth, does the time warp again. Oh, Data was ops. Oops, my bad. And so they go to April 5th, 2063, which if you guys watched on April 6th, 2063, I did my review for the episode First Contact. So, and it's kind of easy to remember because it's, at least for an American, where we put the month first because we're weird, it's 4563. So that's kind of fun. Time travel always kind of works with Star Trek, going back all the way to the original series where the Enterprise would just go back in time just because, I'm just going to like hit my communicator, just because to like do random surveys and stuff. So for the original series, which isn't not 100% continuity, time travel is pretty regular. Like they just did it. And I mean, to me, the fourth movie, The Voyage Home, is the best movie. So for this one to do time travel as well, it just makes sense. We see James Cromwell appear. I believe this is now his fourth appearance in Star Trek. He was like a prime minister, and then he was an alien, and I think he was on Deep Space Nine at one point. So like James Cromwell he's a great actor, like just in general. Everything from like Babe to iRobot, he's a great actor. But he's definitely a Star Trek actor as well, so it's kind of fun to see him. They bring up, and at this point when we first see him, we don't know who he is. It's just James Cromwell. You know it's important because he's a big actor, but we don't know who he is. They bring up that it's been 10 years since World War III, so that's kind of interesting, because they bring up World War III in one of the episodes of the original series, but it's kind of just a throwaway line. I don't know if you guys can tell that I'm trying to avoid the sunlight, so I'm going to pull you towards me a little bit. They talk about... finally, it's revealed that the reason they went to April 5th, 2063 was because that is the day of first contact with Zephram Cochrane. Now, this is not the first time we've seen Zephram Cochrane. He was actually in the original series, the Metamorphosis from season 2. Although they say it's Zephram Cochrane from like SETI Alpha or something, and clearly this is Zephram Cochrane from Bozeman, Montana. But it's the same dude. And I've already told my husband, I was like, I mean, if I'm still alive in 2063, like April 5th, we're going to go to Montana for no apparent reason. So just so you know. So I might even be wearing this. Who knows? There's some great scenes where they're just talking and they're with the missile silo, the Phoenix, and like they have the touching scene where tactile encounters make things more real. And Troy has the awesome line of, "Do you three want to be alone?" From here, we realize it starts... At this point, this episode's just kind of interesting and fun. And this is kind of that point where we go from like part 1 to part 2. And things get super intense because we realize Borg from the sphere have beamed aboard the Enterprise. I don't know if you guys can tell how much I'm sweating. And they're slowly taking over the decks. One of you guys asked me in my last video how many decks there were, and I'd already watched this movie, so I couldn't look it up. I forgot to Google it. And it's 39.1 degrees on deck 16 or whatever. As an American, I had to look it up. It's 102 degrees Fahrenheit, which is kind of what I'm feeling right now, wearing this outfit in the middle of like summer. There's some fun lines where the Borg are trying to get in to the sick bay, medical bay, whatever you want to call it, And they bring in the emergency medical hologram, which is a great shout out to Voyager. At this point, I think Voyager was on season 2, maybe season 3. And Beverly's like, I swear I'd never used one of these. And Robert Picardo shows up wearing the gray outfit, so that's kind of cool to see him in that. And she tells him to... Beverly tells the doctor to distract the Borg. And he's like, I'm a doctor, not a doorstop. And it's just kind of fun to have that Bones-like line in there. We see Deanna get super drunk on 3 shots of something called tequila, which, as somebody who had alcohol poisoning a few days ago, like, I do not envy her. Because it's kind of funny. Just seeing, I love Deanna and Riker's, like, banter anytime they go back and forth, and, like, her just, like, this is no time to argue about time. We don't have the time. It's just great. And his lines, like, oh, you're blended, all right. It's kind of fun. We see Data, like, purposely deactivate his emotion chip, which in Generations he didn't fully have control over it, so it's kind of fun to see how that's changing. And he gets kidnapped. He meets the Borg Queen, which I don't know how I feel about the Borg Queen. Like, I understand why they did it. They did it to kind of give the Borg somebody to talk to, like a hierarchy. But I don't know how I feel about it. What do you guys think about the Borg Queen? Like, did you think she was a good addition to the Borg collective? Or do you think it was just kind of a cop-out to add, like, a specific antagonist? So I'd love to see you guys pop up with stuff about that. Oh, that was bright. They explained to Zephram Cochrane, which I love the name Zephram. Like, I've told you guys, if I ever have kids, like, if I had a little girl, I'd name her Luoxana. If I have a boy, I would try to name him Zephram. I'm just a weird parent. Hopefully, like, I don't have kids, because they would hate me. I'd go to school in outfits like this every day. So they explained to Cochrane about what they're doing and their mission and everything, and he finally says the words, "You're on some sort of Star Trek." I'd love to see what you guys think about that, if you want to just pop up with the comments. John Delancey, as Q in All Good Things, had said something similar. Your trek through the stars has come to an end. What did you guys think about Zephram Cochrane saying Star Trek? Like, did you guys really like it? Did you say something about... Sorry, I'm reading comments now. Did you guys think it felt forced? Because anytime they say something like this, it's gonna feel forced. Like, especially when we get to, like, the revamp movies, anytime they use quotes from the original, it always feels forced. They'd sit at the cool kids table in high school. I don't know what that means. Sorry. So did you guys like it when he said it, or did you hate it and think it was just kind of cheap? And I don't know, I probably would have taken it out if I was the editor for this movie. Kyle says they'd sit at the cool kids table in high school. I don't know what that means. Is that for the Borg? Oh, your kids. Oh, my kids? No. I was beat up as a kid all the time. I was the nerd. Like, there's no way. I think having a nameless, faceless villain is more interesting and terrifying. The mystery is better and leaves more to the imagination. I like that, Brian. And I think that's why the Borg worked up to this point. And I think that's kind of why it works in Voyager as well. So I kind of agree with Brian. Data gets kidnapped, Borg Queen. The one thing I do like about this movie is that because the Borg are really well done in The Next Generation, but it was a TV show, and it was the early 90s, and they didn't have a whole lot of budget. Whereas this is the, 8th movie in the franchise. It's 1998, so they have a much bigger budget, and they do a lot better with all of the implants. Like, the one where, like, the dude's missing his hand, and they, like, plug in the new, like, extender and stuff. I thought they did a great job with all of the, like, cochlear implants and just changing stuff like that. This is how I feel like the Borg should have been from the beginning, because they now have that budget. So Cochrane, Lily wakes up and meets Picard. He shows her the planet Earth, which kind of threw me off a little bit. I think they're in 10 forward, because he goes to touch it and he's like, oh, the windows are force fields. in The Next Generation, they actually say in one of the episodes that it's transparent aluminum, which is a shout out to the voyage home. So, I don't know, somewhere between the Enterprise D and the Enterprise E, they went from transparent aluminum windows to force field windows, which I feel like force field windows is just kind of a waste of like power or something. But I don't know, that could just be me. They start grafting skin onto Data, which I thought was super interesting. One of the scenes that I really liked, that watching First Contact, I never really got, like I enjoyed it, but I didn't get it until I binged the series and then did the movies, is the Dix Hill scene, where we finally get that shout out to that character, one of Picard's like reoccurring holodeck storylines. And see, those are the little things that I love about, like, Generations and this movie, is when they do stuff like that, where not everybody will get it, but the diehard fans are going to be like, I know who Dix Hill is, and they get it and they enjoy it. Stewart likes the idea of the Borg Queen personally. Bees and ants are similar in a way. They have a queen, so I never question as awesome as a villain. Yeah, no, so I agree with that as well. So I'm kind of the devil's advocate. Like, I liked the Borg Queen, and I thought she was great, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess I have problems with her. What's up? So we go to the holodeck, and Ethan Phillips has a little cameo in that as like the maitre d'. It's the guy that plays Neelix in Voyager, where he's like trying to tell them to get out because they don't have the dress code. We see Picard take out some of the Borg drones, because even a holographic bullet can kill. They get the memory chip. The amazing Dwight Schultz comes back as Barclay, which, because of that one scene, he's tied. He was in 5 episodes of The Next Generation, plus this movie, and then he's in 6 episodes of Voyager. So he's actually tied between which series he's in more. So I thought that was kind of cool. There's the line, "Don't you people ever pee?" which is a reference because we never see a bathroom in The Next Generation. Or we never see a toilet, I guess. We've seen a bathtub and we see the sink, but we never actually see a toilet. So that was kind of fun. People don't have to shit in space. Nope. At one point, so here's where it starts really going deep, where the Borg are trying to turn, I didn't write it down, the deflector dish into a beacon, which is important later on. I bet the waste gets transported out. That's interesting. That's a whole different review right there. So they try to turn like the deflector dish into some sort of beacon. And Beverly just kind of has this throwaway line that the Borg are still in the Delta Quadrant in 2063, which that is a teaser to Voyager, because at this point Voyager hadn't really encountered the Borg in the Delta Quadrant. So that was a nice little tidbit that they were trying to throw out, like, hey, you might want to get ready for this. The Borg Queen has some interesting lines of, the Borg used to be human, what was it? It's, we used to be just like humans, or very, very similar to humans, flawed and organic. Brian, I kind of agree. I like Dwight Schultz from the A-Team, but I like how well he does as Barclay as well, so I can split the two. But I know, I totally know what you mean. And that's what's funny, is he was already famous from being in the A-Team, and then he gets such a weird role in The Next Generation, so that was fun. There's some awkward moments where the Borg Queen starts talking to Data about physical forms of pleasure, and how Data is fully functional and programmed in multiple techniques. When she asks how long it's been, he says 8 years, 7 months, and 16 days, which is a reference to Tasha Yar in the Naked Now episode. Which is funny, because in my video where we meet Tasha's sister, he almost says the exact same thing. Like, alters the dates, but it's almost the same thing. Personally, I like the scene where they're with, it's Hawk, Worf, and Picard, and they're trying to get the deflector dish off. Just like Picard, like, deactivating the magnetic in his boots and jumping over it. Unfortunately, Hawk gets assimilated. Who's behind me? Who's behind me? Oh, well, get out from behind me. And then Worf has the great line of, after they finally get the deflector dish off, of assimilate this. So it's just kind of fun. Some intense lines between Lily and Picard where she starts like questioning his judgment, where the line must be drawn here, no further. And he like breaks the glass and breaks his little ships, which was really sad because I love those models. Lily refers to Picard as Ahab, which is kind of funny because Patrick Stewart had played Ahab in the Moby Dick movie. My dog's like doing something behind me. He's like digging or something. And then finally Picard does relent and he decides to blow up the Enterprise E, which is super sad in my opinion. And I noticed it takes Picard, Crusher, and Worf. All three of them have to put in their passwords to activate the self-destruct, which in the Next Generation, it only took 2. So that's kind of interesting, because in the original series, it took 3. In the Next Generation, it took 2, and now back in the movie, it took 3. Okay, you guys are blowing me up. What are you saying? I once had a dream about how I was indirectly responsible for the Borg taking the final step toward becoming a hive mind. Remind me to tell you about it sometime. Okay, Miguel, yeah, you definitely have to message me about that. That sounds amazing. I feel like Denise Crosby should have come back for Nemesis. Sheila, Tasha could have been added. That would have been great if you wouldn't mind bringing that up in the Nemesis one, but I totally agree. And Brian says, I see a lot of similarities between the Borg Queen and the Cylons and Battlestar Galactica reboot, and almost obsession with being human without actually being human. And didn't Moore write part of First Contact? I can't remember if he was part of the writing staff for that or not. The guy that created Battlestar Galactica worked on Star Trek, mostly Deep Space Nine. Voyager, it only took one person. Oh, Kyle says Voyager only took one person for the self-destruct. You know, so I love Voyager. I grew up with Voyager. It's been at least 10 years since I've binged all of Voyager, so I don't remember a lot of stuff, just to be honest with you, so I'm super excited to rewatch that. What are you doing? Just come over here. Just be a good boy. Okay, so yeah, Brian says, comparing the Borg Queen to the Cylons. I don't remember, I think it's Roger Moore, I don't remember his name, that wrote Battlestar, worked on Deep Space Nine, and I'm pretty sure he had a writing credit in this movie as well. Let's see. The line must be drawn here. Picard is Ahab. They do bring up that there's still plenty of letters left in the alphabet. Finally, the Phoenix does its launch with Geordi, Riker, and Zefram Cochrane. Which is kind of funny, because in one of the episodes of The Next Generation, Geordi mentions how, like, oh, to see this would have been like this or this, and he's comparing all these great moments in history. And one of the moments he mentions is, like, this would have been as, like, seeing Zefram Cochrane do the first warp. Not only did he see it, he helped do it, and he was on board with it. So that's kind of cool. They play Magic Carpet Ride, one of my favorite songs by Steppenwolf. Not the villain from Justice League, but you guys get it. We see Data with half his face with actual skin, and then he deactivates the self-destruct, killing the Borg Queen by breaking the coolant, or whatever it is. It's kind of funny, because I love when he's talking about it, because you see the shots fired towards the Phoenix, and then he says, I was actually tempted to join her for 0.86 seconds, which is an eternity to an android. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And that's basically all I got. Oh. That's right, the Enterprise required both Picard and Riker to activate the self-destruct. Voyager just needed authorization. Okay, well, see, you guys remember more about it than I do. I'm super excited to watch this. So, when I started doing these videos, like, very few of you commented on the original series, and that's okay. Enough of you did that made me want to continue. And a lot of you have gone through this with The Next Generation with me. And now going into Deep Space Nine and Voyager, I'm just hoping that I just keep getting the snowball effect. And I've said it before, I'm just going to keep teasing it until I actually get to it. I am starting to work on some other shows. I just want to have them like pre-recorded so I can let it out kind of all at once. Oh, I didn't know that. The Borg Queen is... So, Jay says the Borg Queen is tied to the DC TV show Arrow. She's Oliver's mother in the show. Now, which Borg Queen? Is that the Borg Queen from First Contact, or is that the Borg Queen from Voyager? Because it's two different actresses. So, I'll let you know. I don't watch Arrow, so I'm sorry. You'll have to... That's the Voyager Borg Queen. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Which I think the Borg Queen from First Contact was the Borg Queen from Endgame in Voyager. And then in between there, it was a different actress, if I remember right. I'm trying to reach way back. So let's see. So there's some rumors about the. So Star Trek will always have rumors and fan theories and stuff like that. One of the fan theories that I don't know if it's actually like canon or not is that the Vulcan that Zefram Cochrane meets at the end is, let me see if I can get that on camera, is Solkar, which is the father of Sarek, so it would be Spock's grandfather, which, if that's true, that's kind of fun. And then this movie gets a couple of sequel shout-outs as well. Like James Cromwell repraises his role as Zefram Cochrane in the pilot of Enterprise, I think it's called Broken Arrow or something, the part 1 where he's aged a lot. And then we see like different stuff. Like we see the Zefram Cochrane statue that Geordi talks about where he has his hand up in the air and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. And then this episode, or this movie specifically, gets a sequel episode where the Enterprise encounters Borg that, like, after they destroyed the sphere, it kind of crashed in Antarctica, and they go deal with that. So that's kind of fun. But because a lot of people, like, I think there's Ferengi in Enterprise. The Enterprise had a very difficult time with prequels where how do you do these beloved characters, but you have to do it in a way that nobody's ever seen, because how do we do a Borg episode in Enterprise when the Next Generation encounters them for the first time? Stuff like that. And sometimes they do mess up, kind of like in Generations, where he's like, what is it? The Ferengi in the gorilla suit can stay. No, the Ferengi in the clown suit has to go, but the gorilla can stay, whatever like that. They didn't know what a Ferengi looked like when that joke was told at Encounters at Farpoint. Nobody had ever seen a Ferengi. So the joke kind of falls apart, but whatever. Okay, you guys are blowing me up again. You guys are debating who the Borg Queen is, and that's cool. What do you think of the Picard coming back? I'm looking forward to making comments you may have on the Orville, because I have a lot, especially season 2. Yes, I just read that actually he is related to... Okay, so I'll brush through these real quick. So Jay says, what do you think of Picard coming back in a new series? I am super fucking excited. Jay, if you didn't watch my video for All Good Things, I'd love for you to kind of search for it and watch that, because I kind of talk about, in that episode, Picard goes to the future, which is 25 years, which would be this year for us, because Star Trek kind of ages in real time. So I would love to see, like, in this new Picard show, if Gates McFadden comes back and as his ex-wife and stuff like that. So I am super excited. Supposedly Jonathan Frakes is directing some episodes. I don't know. I'm super, super excited. Brian says, I'm looking forward to making comments you may have on the Orville. So my goal is to do the Orville show. I guess I'll kind of spoil a little bit. Obviously, I'm going to do Deep Space Nine. I'm going to do Voyager. I'm going to do Enterprise. And I will do Discovery, and then I'll probably do Orville as well. I don't know if I'm going to post them on Facebook or just my YouTube channel, because they're so new and they're so fresh. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. I have like at least 6 months before I get there. So I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But I'll probably definitely do Orville, just because of all of the connections to Star Trek. Like, just not storytelling, but actors and everything. Stuart says it is canon that was Spock's grandfather that did First Contact. So that's super cool. I'm sure there's some book or novel or fan fiction or something out there that does that. Yeah, okay. So sequel, and that's all I got for this movie. So that's all my useless trivia. As for this movie itself, it's such a good movie. Jonathan Frakes is a great director. He does great lighting, unlike what I got going on right now. Great actors all around, and it's a great, great movie. And this is often considered one of the best movies, usually within people's top 3. Jay says, I know you don't watch the DC shows, but 7 of 9 is also an Arrow. Well, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that. I know because, I mean, I am a mod for this group, so I do see a lot of, like, shout-outs and stuff like that of actors and stuff. So I did know that Summer Glau, the actress that plays River in Firefly, was in Arrow for a while, I guess. So I thought that was kind of cool. But no, I didn't know that it had Star Trek connections, so that was kind of cool. Although, did Jonathan Frakes may have directed some episodes? I don't remember. So thank you guys for everything. So I'm going to start my thank yous, which, I mean, if you guys watch my videos, my thank yous always take like 5 minutes. So any last minute comments, because this is why I do the live videos, is for your comments and your stuff like that. And so because I love these interactions, I love talking to you guys, but I'm really hot and sweaty and dying. So if you guys have any last comments, go ahead, throw them out quick before I shut this off. Even after it's over, please keep commenting, and I will keep responding, commenting back on you guys. I did not know Robert Duncan McNeil directed Smallville. I can't imagine Tom Paris doing that. That's kind of interesting. I know he did something. I think he directed Enterprise. And like the actress that played B'Elanna, I think did Enterprise and maybe Discovery as well. It's hard to keep track of directors. Like I know all of them from acting. It's more difficult for me to keep track of their directing. So my thank you goodbye speech. I'm sure some of you guys are sick of it, but I'm going to do it. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you guys for the friend requests. Once again, if you guys don't send me a message, I won't accept the friend request. That's just kind of who I am. I like to know who I'm talking to. Thank you guys so much for the YouTube subscriptions. You have no idea how much that means to me. That's so important to me. It's mostly for you guys because a lot of people asked me to do it. And at the time I was like, no, that's pointless. Why am I going to have it on Facebook and YouTube? And it was pointed out that sometimes if you guys wanted to watch a specific, episode or review, it's very, very difficult to look it up. So I was like, okay, I will start doing, YouTube basically just as an archive. But it's been blowing up. It's doing good. I appreciate you guys so much for subscribing if you have. It means a lot to me. I really like it. And it kind of brings these videos to more people. So if you guys are watching this on the YouTube side of this, thank you guys for reaching out and finding me. I really appreciate all of that. I'm slowly trying to roll out a Twitter, but like I'm mostly using it more for fun to tag Star Trek actors in it to see if I get any of them to bite. But you guys are saying stuff. My favorite Next Generation crossover is Gargoyles. Yes, and I think... Oh, I brought that up in Generations, where Riker says, I plan to live forever, and it's kind of a Xanatos thing. But yeah, no, Gargoyles is probably my second favorite TV show ever, so I completely agree with that. Jay says, just curious, red shirt, those primarily are the ones that die in the series. Red shirts died in the original series. The command is the red shirt for the captain for the Next Generation. And I don't know, I'm kind of, like, I always like to be in charge. I'm just going to leave that as it is. So I always try to have the captain's outfits. But yeah, but you're close. I see where you were going with that. So thank you for friend requests. Thank you guys for messages. Thank you guys for YouTube. Thank you guys for everything. You guys are all awesome. Thank you guys for watching these videos. Next I have Insurrection and Nemesis, which I'm not going to do live. I've already actually pre-recorded those, to be honest with you, just because they're not that great and I didn't have as much to say with the Captain Pips and all. Well, yeah, of course. Although I think they're too far apart. I think I gotta squish them together, but whatever. So I already pre-recorded Insurrection and Nemesis. And then moving on to Deep Space Nine, I've said it before, I'll say it when I do the pilot for Deep Space Nine. I've only ever watched it one time, so doing it as a review, it's going to be all new and fresh. So hopefully you guys enjoy watching it with me. If any of you guys ever are inspired by these videos and want to start watching the episodes, please let me know, because that means so much. That's actually how this got started, is one of my friends had said, and he's in this group, had said, like, oh, I kind of want to do this. I was like, that's a great idea. I'm going to do it too. And then I just started doing these videos to go with it. So, if you guys are ever, like, my mod bro Joshua has never really seen Deep Space Nine, so I'm really trying hard to, like, talk him into watching Deep Space Nine with me. So if he comments on this or anything, like, tag him and jump on him and say, watch Deep Space Nine, because it is an underrated show. I hated it growing up, and then as an adult, when I watched it, I was like, Deep Space Nine is awesome. And I have tickets to my, to the documentary, What We Left Behind, on May 13th, so I'm super excited. Kyle says, what's your favorite Star Trek uniform? Probably this one, to be honest with you. I like this one, I like the Voyager one, and I like the original series. I hate the gray outfit. I just don't like it. Odo, the shapeshifter, and some of the DS9 characters were spun off from... Yes, Jay, I will actually talk about that. And some of the characters were supposed to be spin-offs, but were not. Kind of like... Kira was originally supposed to be Ro Laren, but then the actress didn't want to do it. So, I was inspired to do reviews. This is so cool. Brian says he was inspired to do reviews. What are you reviewing? Go ahead, let me know. But where was I going? I just lost my train. That's pretty common for me. But okay, so I'm done. I'm gonna cut it off. Thank you guys for watching. Please, I hope you guys all comment on my Insurrection and Nemesis videos, and then I will probably do the Emissary video, the pilot to Deep Space Nine live as well, just to kind of reiterate everything I just said about Deep Space Nine, which will probably be tomorrow night, actually. So I haven't watched it yet. I got actually, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to turn it on and watch it. Ryan says, do you like the Discovery uniforms? I love the style they use. So I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't like the Discovery uniforms, just like I don't like the Enterprise uniforms. And that's just because they're basically just jumpsuits. Which, I mean, it works for what they're doing. But like season 2 of Discovery, where Captain Pike and the Enterprise crew came in with the solid colors, I loved. I thought that was great. Just kind of the plain jumpsuits, I don't like it. I find it super, super boring. But that's just me. I'm a colorful person. I love all of the little dialogue. You guys are great. But okay, so thank you guys for everything. Fair enough. I love the Odyssey uniforms from STO. I'm guessing Star Trek Odyssey. I don't know what Star Trek Odyssey is. I'm guessing that's a game. I don't play video games. At least not very much. Some people have tried to get me to play Star Trek Timelines, I think is what it's called. Or just Star Trek Online. Something stinks. But yeah, no, I don't... I'm guessing Star Trek Odyssey is a game. So, Kyle, you'll have to like private message me, or if you want to keep commenting, go ahead and let me know, because yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that. Oh, it is Star Trek Online. Okay, yeah, I've never actually played that. I have an Xbox One. If that's available on Xbox, maybe I'll go ahead and try it, but I don't know what that is. I suck at playing video games. I try, and every time somebody tries to make me play it, I'm just that guy that keeps on dying. There's Bridge Crew for VR. That sounds interesting. Okay, I'm gonna go. I keep saying it, but I'm actually gonna cut it off this time. I promise. So because it's been, I don't even know. Like on my side, it doesn't tell me how long I've been doing this. I think my longest video has been 35 minutes. This is definitely the most active that I've ever had. So you guys are super awesome. So I live on the Pacific Coast, specifically Washington. And I'm kind of a night owl, so I normally do my videos between 9 p.m. and midnight, which works because that's also when I get off work. So that just kind of works for me. I've been on vacation for a week now, so that's why I'm just been cruising through these episodes. And some of you, especially like across the pond and in different time zones, have said like, dude, your videos are too late and I can't participate that late, and have asked me to do earlier videos. So I did a video earlier today at noon, and you guys were awesome. It was popping up all over the place. It is now, I think I started this at like 6, and it's now 7 p.m. where I'm at, and you guys are just amazing. I love all of this dialogue. I love everything. Jay says, East Coast here. It's just after 10 p.m. I mean, you don't have to tell me, but just out of curiosity, where? I lived in Massachusetts, and I also lived in Virginia. So my dad was in the military, so I've been to every state but 4, and I've lived in 6 different states. So like 14 different places. Kyle is in Ohio. I've been to Ohio, Cedar Point. It's a lot of fun. Kentucky. I've been to Kentucky. I never lived in Kentucky, but that's kind of cool. I'm hoping somebody says Montana so I can just jump on them and be like, have you ever been to Bozeman? And like, let me know what that's like. Because I've been on the outskirt of Montana. I've never been in Montana. And I'm always curious, like in Bozeman, is there some sort of like Zephram Cochrane statue or some sort of Star Trek thing? Like I said, I'm in Washington, just like above Oregon. And like Forks is an actual city for the Twilight fans in Washington, and it is a Twilight city. So I'm curious if Bozeman, Montana has actually become like a Star Trek city. Raphael says, hi from San Antonio, Texas. I've been to Texas quite a bit. Dallas, Fort Worth specifically, but then my mom was born in Houston. So, like I actually lived in Arkansas as well. So I have a deep Southern accent, but I cover it up really well just for these videos. So you guys are awesome, but I'm going to go because it's just getting really hot in this thing. So thank you guys for everything. This has probably been the most fun video I've ever had. You guys are amazing, and I'm super excited to see what you guys say for the next one. So thank you, and have a great night, and I will see you guys next time for Insurrection.